I may just have not cut deep enough to get rid of it all. So I'll try that again. And I really can't say that's much of an improvement. One thing you haven't seen me try is shear scraping. I doubt very much if shear scraping is going to work on wood this soft. Shear scraping works much better on hard woods, but I will take a pass. And what do we have? Well, isn't it? See? That's the best I've seen yet, actually. And I would have said shear scraping wouldn't work on pine. Wow. That is excellent. Alright. So, before I get that so small I can't get a bowl out of it, I guess I should start turning the bowl. So I'm going to go back. This is the second 5/8 side ground gouge I was using. The one I originally got a good surface off of. It's still got a good edge on it, so I'm going to do my rough shaping with it. Okay, so that curve is all bumpy, but the cut I'm getting, the surface is not bad at all. It's just the curve is not smooth. So I'm going to clean up this tenon here. Okay, that was actually a push cut rather than a pull cut. I generally find it easier to get a smooth curve if I'm pushing rather than pulling, but that's just me. Well, I don't know what to say here. These are not picking up the cut the way I would expect them to if they were truly as sharp as I thought they were. The surface, that's a much smoother curve now. The surface isn't bad. I do have a little bit. As long as I was moving in this direction, I was getting a really nice surface. But as soon as I straightened out to where I was approaching parallel, I started to get a little bit of picked out grain. It's not what I would really call tear out, but it's not really what I would like to see either. It would come off easily enough with sandpaper, but I'm not planning to use sandpaper. Okay, let's zoom that back in. This area right here is where I'm talking about. It feels a little rough, and I have the same thing over here, not quite as badly. Okay, so now I will move the camera down so you can see what's going on while I'm hollowing. Okay. So now I'm going to take this sharp corner off first thing. And I'll get rid of this paint. Okay, and that gouge gave me a decent surface on the face grain. Okay, so I'll go back to which half-inch gouge was I using? Was it this one? Looks like it. So this is a half-inch side ground gouge. I'll start out with it. And that's given me a reasonably good surface, so far anyway, while the wood's still that thick and supported, and I was taking a pretty heavy cut there. Okay, so now I've opening up a pitch pocket there. That surface is not good at all. I do have some pretty good tear out there. I was doing hogging type cuts. I'll try a lighter cut and see if that improves the surface. much better. It's not 100%, but it's certainly much better. I still have rough grain here, and the same over there. It's pretty much the same as that was on the outside. Okay, so I'm going to go a different gouge. That one just didn't seem to have the edge I was expecting it to. Alright. That's not bad. Feels like the wall thickness is pretty consistent all the way down, so it's all about the thickness of that rim, which is pretty thick for a bowl this small in diameter. The bottom, I think, is approaching its final dimension, even though it feels thicker than that to my fingers. But so I'm going to take a pass down the side. Oriented as a hogging pass. And that actually doesn't leave too well. Alright. The surface is not good right there, so it's not really much worse than that other gouge left, but so now I'll rotate the gouge back and use the trailing wing. And that is quite good. My goodness, I'd say that bottom is really thick. And it is really thick. Which means that sticking my finger in and putting my thumbnail there and coming out here didn't give me a very accurate reading. Imagine that. Okay, so I was thinking the bottom was getting thin, but it's not. So right now the bottom is probably about the same as the walls here. Now, one thing with this gouge, I haven't relieved the heel, and that is a pretty tight curve in the transition area. So I'm going to switch to this gouge. It's still a traditional grind, but I have relieved the heel on it, so it'll get around the corner a little easier.